Welcome on, welcome all to the All-Star Sim Racing Manifold Truck Series season finale. This is Andrew Cardinale with PSI TV, and we had a bit of a week hiatus last week. It was some unforeseen circumstances that kept us from broadcasting their Phoenix elimination race, but as you'll see ticking across the bottom of the screen tonight, the All-Star Manifold Truck Series Final Four has been set. So I'll read the names off as they come along. Our number 1 seed coming into tonight, of course, is the number 88 of Chris Jennings. And tell you what, he's probably the favorite to win this thing tonight, but definitely don't count out the other contenders here at Homestead Miami Speedway. We're going to have Kurt Rittenberg as well in the number 00, as well as his brother Jeremy Rittenberg in the number 26, and Mike Perry coming along as the 4th seed in the number 10. So by all means, certainly no field to be taken lightly here. There'll be a lot of competition for the entire 126 laps that we've got for you tonight, and we are getting ready to roll here. As you can see, the drivers getting out of the pits, going and getting ready to take the green flag. On pole, we're going to have Blake O'Connell leading the field to the green flag. In second place, we Mike Montesi, followed by David Dolliver in third, Scott Simley in fourth, Jimmy North in fifth, Joe Hudson in sixth, Matthew Cox in seventh, Bradley P. Wilson in eighth, Aiden Young in ninth, and Chris Jennings, one of our title contenders, and actually the highest starting title contender on the night, will be starting 10th. Mike Perry, another title contender, will be starting 11th, followed by Jeremy Rittenberg, one of the other title contenders for the night. Lee Robinette, our fourth title contender, and 14th will be Kurt Rittenberg, Ed Burrell will round out your top 15. As we get ready to take the green flag here, we've got Blake O'Connell leading us down to the green. Pace car is off and away, and green flag is out. So, sorry for kind of the shortened intro, but we were showing the commercials there as we brought the event online because we had a couple of technical difficulties, and we're trying to get our second commentator into TeamSpeak. And with us tonight, Zach Lindgren is on his way. He had a bit of an issue at first, and as these guys take the green flag down into turn 3 rather on lap number 1, Blake O'Connell has the lead over Mike Montesi through turns 3 and 4. David Dolliver in close tow, just ahead of Scott Simley in the number 68 and Jimmy North in the 84. Blake O'Connell leads lap 1, down off into turn 1 more time in the TN Designs Chevrolet. Very early in the event, but we're already seeing these guys get single file out, get ready for the race at hand. And again, if I go a little bit quiet at times, you know, it's that November weather feeling. Weather's starting to take an effect on everyone and kind of make everyone feel a little bit under the weather. So, since I am alone for the time being, as Blake O'Connell runs just a little bit slower than actually Mike Montesi in P number 2. That number 7, Mike Montesi, looking real fast right now as we get going in this race. Right now, he's just following pretty much the tire marks of Blake O'Connell, just riding around. It's not late enough in the event to really push, so you know we'll see Mike Montesi take this thing as he usually does, very methodically. And actually, it looks like he's going to stick his nose out to the inside of Blake O'Connell down into turn 1 on that number 4 here, and that will be the pass for the lead. Mike Montesi going to take the point from Blake O'Connell on lap number 4. David Dolliver still right behind these guys, and actually he's going to get a big run there on Blake O'Connell for the second position. He may actually have that position down into turn 1 this time. Now on lap 5 of 126, and again, this is going to be one of those races that these guys have to take rather methodically, although we saw a bit of a bonsai move there from David Dolliver to get that second position. I'm sure Blake will be remembering that one, but again, it is pretty early, so you know, these guys aren't going to get too fired up yet. This is actually one of the most respectful leagues I've ever come across on iRacing, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of cool heads tonight. These guys are, of course, racing for a championship, and just as in NASCAR, you know, pretty much the highest winner, or the highest finisher out of those 4 championship contenders takes the prize. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, the 4 title contenders are going to be Chris Jennings in the number 88, as we see right here, as well as the doubles here with Kurt Rittenberg. He's actually running a little bit further back in the pack, along with the number 26 of Jeremy Rittenberg and the Oliver Mobile Fleet Repair Toyota Tundra, and the number 10 of Mike Perry. And so we'll go on board with Mike Perry now as he runs right behind Louis Robinette. Currently, Perry is running in the 12th position, just outside the top 10, and we can see Chris Jennings off in the distance a little bit ahead of these 2 yellow trucks. These 2 yellow trucks right ahead of Perry would be the number 66 of Bradley Wilson and the number 04 of Matthew Cox. And that black rear end that you see ahead of them, that's going to be Chris Jennings. So that's what Mike Perry's looking out for right now. He can just see the red and yellow door on that number 88 as he makes the pass on Louis Robinette for P11, it looks like. And he will get that position. So, you know, it's going to be something that Mike Perry has to keep in the back of his mind as we go to his visor cam right now. Working on the number 04 Eat Me truck of Matthew Cox. If he makes that pass, he'll actually move himself up into the top 10, and certainly can't argue with the top 10 position this early in the race. So we'll see what he can do throughout the event. And we'll check in on Jeremy Rittenberg. He's actually the lowest of the championship contenders at the moment, currently running in the 20th position. Certainly, actually now 19th as he came across the line. Certainly not where he needs to be. Actually, he's in 18th position. Sorry, my standing sticker is a bit off. For some reason, it's showing me on the roster there, and that's certainly not correct. But as we watch Jeremy Rittenberg take this lap 9 of 126, I think right now he's just kind of laying back, waiting to see what these guys have, waiting to see what he has. He definitely didn't start towards the front. He started pretty mid-pack, so maybe he's just trying to wait and see what he got, or maybe he had an issue on the initial start there. Don't really know. Moving forward, though, we've got Kurt Rittenberg battling with the number 2 of Mike Kelly. Mike Kelly running the Tonka paint scheme tonight, so if you see that yellow and black Tonka truck, that is Mike Kelly, who we saw take Dover by storm and had a very good race at Kansas as well. Those are the 2 notable events for me that he's really stuck out at. But this R2-D2 machine of Kurt Rittenberg right now, currently running in the 15th position. He started 14th, so he's lost a position overall. But I think right now, you know, this is kind of the name of the game from these 2 Rittenberg brothers, as they kind of sit back and wait for everyone else to take themselves out. And that's why they did so well at places like Talladega and Charlotte. They play the game of attrition with the rest of the field, so I wouldn't be surprised if we wait and see these Rittenbergs come up to the front at the end of the race. But for now, like I mentioned, they are just kind of sitting back. I just want to mention, you know, normally in the real NASCAR series, we see these guys flock to the top side and ride that wall up in the Larson line, as some people call it. You won't really see that tonight, I don't think. I think the dominant line will be the top side overall, but in general, I don't think we're going to see too many guys vie for that line too much. You know, it's certainly helpful towards the beginning of a run, but as the run goes on, the tires kind of fall off, and you kind of just have to go wherever the truck wants to go, whether that be the center, the top, the bottom even sometimes. So it's not quite the same as normal, I'd say. As we look out the back of the number 7, you see that huge gap, almost 2 seconds already, that he's got over now the number 68 of Scott Simley, who's moved up into 2nd position over David Dolliver. And David Dolliver has Jimmy North on his back end that he's got to deal with. So now we'll switch to the number 68 and take the same camera on the number 68. You can see David Dolliver just behind him right there as we look out the rear window of the number 68 of Scott Simley in 2nd place. And there is a caution on the speedway. Not sure who it's involving. Looks like maybe the number 78 had a view of that. Saw him keying up the mic, and actually we've got a slew of cars in the back, and one of them is title contender Jeremy Rittenberg. Certainly not what we wanted to see for Jeremy, already having a really horrible night, as you can see right there. That number 26 is all kinds of wadded up, and I don't think that's tonight. All of the mobile fleet repaired, and the 26-year-old Tunja is wadded up in the front end, so we'll have to look at what actually go on with Jeremy, see if we can't get an idea of what happened here. Looks like maybe the 09 might have dropped down onto the right front of the number 78. And the 09, trying to save the truck, came right back up in front of the 26, and the 26 got hit by someone else. Looks like maybe Jeff Gilmore. So we'll take a look back at that from Jeff Gilmore. He's actually the 26 of Jeremy Rittenberg, and looks like maybe Jeff Gilmore didn't have the time to check up. I think he thought he was past it, started to gun it back up. Yep, and he didn't expect them to come back up the track. And you know, you really got to be wary of that. You got to lock the truck down, or at least keep it slow when a wreck is going on like that, because you never know if they'll come right back up the track like what happened right there. And so we'll take another look at what happens there between the number 78 and the number 09. See if we can't figure out exactly what happened. I think the number 09 of Randy Roberts was trying to take the middle line and came down just a little bit too far onto the right front of Matthew Miller. That's going to collect Adam Roberts in the number 24, as well as our championship contender in Jeremy Rittenberg in the number 26. So again, already a horrible, horrible thing to see for Jeremy Rittenberg. It's gonna dash his, sorry, not hunt, but title hopes on the night. I don't think there's any coming back from that one. That's really severe damage to his front end. And again, we'll take an onboard view from the number 78 here. He was trying to go low. He had the run, and they both kind of drove into each other, really. And unfortunately, it's going to be Jeremy Rittenberg that really gets the worst of that damage in that Oliver Removal Fleet Repair number 26. So we'll try and get a talk with him later on, get his point of view, but we're going to let him cool down first because, of course, getting your title hopes dashed that quickly in the race, it's only lap 18, so getting taken out of it that early is going to upset a driver. So we'll give him some chance to cool down, but currently up in the front, we've got Chris Jennings staying out to lead a lap, and that's not going to help him in the overall title race for these guys. Actually, no, he didn't stay out. He did pit, so that was my mistake. He did pit. He may have taken 2 tires. Yeah, I believe he took 2 tires. It looks like Blake O'Connell, Mike Montesi, Bradley Wilson may have also taken 2 tires with him. I'm not totally certain. Sometimes, you know, these racing apps for iRacing aren't exactly the most accurate. But currently, Chris Jennings, our title favorite coming into the night, running P1 under caution, took that lead with the pit stop. I believe he took 2 tires to get ahead of these guys, so that's going to be a heads-up move by him and his team, and possibly one that pays off if he's able to keep that truck up there. He did start all the way back in P10, so not the greatest qualifying run for him. And now real quick, just to give my voice a rest, as these guys come to take 1 to green, we're going to throw up just a quick commercial, and we'll be right back.
In this cauldron of fiery wills and burning competition, rivalries heat up quicker. This is an oval of stolen victories and crushed dreams, filled with volumes of unfinished business. Sooner or later, you all become rivals. With everyone fighting over one finish line, there's never enough glory to go around.
Now, the commercial that you just saw there was for the NMNTS Racing Series, and their registration just opened up. We'll have their ARCA Series Sunday night here from South Boston on PSI TV, along with their Grand National Xfinity Series from Phoenix this Tuesday night. Their registration for their 2018 Truck Series has just opened up as of November 1st, so if you want to register for that, you can visit the NMNTS Racing Series on Facebook. And as soon as we get new registration information for the All-Star Sim Racing Manifold Truck Series, we'll get that to you as well as we take the green flag once more. Chris Jennings is off and away. So as we watch Chris Jennings here take the lead by storm, he's got Blake O'Connell right on his tail end. Currently, you know, Blake is kind of one of the faster guys that just hasn't gotten a break just yet. And as we watch from his onboard camera, as he tries to attack the number 88 Exalted Coating System Chevrolet, I'd say Blake has been one of the guys, again, that has gotten really horrible luck this season, but has speed to show that he's a title contender for 2018. But currently, he's having to deal with this year's title contender, Chris Jennings, the number 88. And it doesn't look like Blake is going to get any kind of run on Chris just yet, as Jennings will pull away down the back straightaway on that number 22 of 126. I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors out here tonight. Those would be TN Designs, paint scheme starting at just $5 a piece. TN Designs will cover all of your iRacing paints and graphics needs. along with PSI TV. That's us, of course. PSI TV is currently doing $5 multi-race deals. So that's right, you can get a multi-race deal for just $5 a race through the end of 2017. So that's through December 31st, 2017. After that, we'll be getting into the full swing of things, hopefully with our own custom graphics up at the top of the screen. You see these are provided by simracingapps.com. Hopefully we'll have our own going into 2018, so that's when we should get into the full swing of things here with the All-Star Sim Racing Series in 2018 as well. I also want to thank Oliver Mole Fleet Repair for climbing on board with the number 26, the number 00, and ourselves here, as well as Scott Brotherton Images for supporting the All-Star Sim Racing Manifold Truck Series and our broadcasts here at PSI TV of the series. And I believe we just had a hiccup in the system there. Do want to apologize for that. I just noticed that OBS went offline, but looks like we're back online in full swing. Once more, apologies for that. If I can figure out what is causing that, I will address it as soon as I can. But currently, carry on with thanking our sponsors. The last one we're going to thank tonight is going to be SimSpec PC Towers. They are building custom iRacing PCs that will handle all of your iRacing needs. There are 3 tiers of PC that you can get to fit your budget, so head on over to simspec.com. And currently, as we watch the TN Designs machine of Blake O'Connell continue to try and chase down the number 88 of Chris Jennings, we're actually going to take a look back through the field at the other 2 title contenders that are still in this race. Those being Mike Perry in the 14th position in the number 10, running right behind the other title contender that's actually running, or still running in this race, Kurt Rittenberg. So these 2 are going to be having their own battle for most of the night, I'd imagine. They're very equal as far as their stats this season. And I think really Chris Jennings is kind of the outlier in this situation. I think these 3 that got in here, aside from Chris Jennings, got in mostly on consistency. And of course, Chris Jennings got in immediately with his wins. So Chris Jennings certainly the favorite here tonight, but these 2 underdogs certainly cannot be counted out. They're 2 of the faster guys. They just run kind of midfield and assess the situation before they make their final charge to get the good finish that got them here. So they are currently running 13th and 14th in the field, right behind Lou Robinette in the number 30. And just ahead of Ed Burrell. And I want to talk about Ed Burrell real quick. We normally do in the All-Star Sim Racing races. Ed Burrell coming off of a big-time surgery for him. Nice to see him making his recovery in full and getting out here racing with these guys and not letting it hold him back in that Into Brewing number 17 Chevrolet, painted by TN Designs. And Ed Burrell is just one of the cooler guys out here, very laid back, and I guess part of the older crowd and just a very cool guy in general. So definitely good to see Ed Burrell out in the field tonight. And as we go back up to the front of the field, we have a pass for second place. Scott Simley got around the number 67 of Blake O'Connell. I think Blake O'Connell's tires are starting to fall off, and Scott Simley laid back and saved. He may actually have something for the leader here soon. He actually just ran almost a 10th quicker than our current race leader, Chris Jennings, so he's got something underneath that Red Bull number 68. That is a move, and actually, just as I say that, they run pretty much equal lap times up front, with Blake O'Connell running a pretty quick lap time behind these guys, actually more than a 10th quicker. So all 3 of these guys out front actually look like they have something for each other. And as well, I actually go back to 5th place real quick to get a look at the number 999 and number 66 as they battle with the number 7 in tow. Going to be Aiden Young in the 999, Bradley Wilson in the 66, and Mike Montesi in the number 7 Exide Chevrolet. So these guys are having a pretty close battle to the battle for the lead currently, but just want to make sure they get their own TV time for the night. Aiden Young driving a very nice paint scheme tonight. It's a 9/11 memorial paint scheme that was actually done back in September, but he decided to break back out for tonight's race, being that the observance for Veterans Day is tomorrow, Friday, November 10th, since Veterans Day is on Saturday this year. So a very nice gesture by him, and a very nice paint scheme as well. And currently, situation normal here throughout the field, really. It's kind of just... actually, we've had a pass for the lead. I actually hadn't noticed that until now. I looked away for just a moment to check on the stream. We have a really heated battle for the lead here. Well, I wouldn't say heated, but very intense battle for the lead here with Scott Simley trying to hold off the number 88 of Chris Jennings, and he will after making the pass. Clear Chris Jennings on the top side and take that lead on lap number 35 of 126. Now down to about 92 laps to go. Chris Jennings falls to second place and will likely fall into the clutches of Blake O'Connell if he isn't careful. With Scott Simley taking the lead. We haven't talked a lot about Scott Simley throughout the season. He actually came in just the last few races. I'm not sure if he was here before, but he's made his return or debut nonetheless in the last few races and has showed that he has speed, and nothing different from that number 68 Red Bull Chevrolet currently, as he is your leader and is running the fastest lap times on the track by a couple of tenths over the rest of the field. The only other time that was comparable was out of Joe Hudson and Mike Montesi, actually. So the number 7 and number 12 currently still on pace with him, and actually we'll go back and look at the number 12 who was running in 8th position. Haven't gotten to talk about him a lot just yet. Joe Hudson apparently had an eventful week last week at Phoenix, but we were not here, unfortunately, to catch it, so we'll just see what goes on tonight in that Outback Steakhouse number 12. He's currently got Jimmy North, and it looks like Matthew Cox, or no, sorry, that's Mike Kelly right on his back end, as we are on lap 37, and this is the battle for 8th position. Now, real quick to our audience out there tonight, if you have a question, make sure to leave it in the comments. I just got my phone back up, and as we see, title contender Jeremy Rittenberg falling another lap down with that wreck number 26 Oliver Mobile Fleet Repair Tundra. If you have any questions, leave those in the comments. I just got my phone back up, and we will be taking a look at the stream here to see if anyone has any questions, comments, or concerns. I'll do my best to answer them right away, be it via text or voice over the broadcast. And again, we're watching the number 26, Jeremy Rittenberg, fall further and further behind. Unfortunately, he was collected in our only caution of the night if you weren't here to see it. He is one of our 4 title contenders, but doesn't look like he's going to have much for the title run tonight after being collected in an early incident in the first 20 laps. Can I replay the caution? I'll tell you what, I will try. I'll give it a shot here, and we'll see if we can. I don't know if it's gonna work. It's going to be a minute for sure. Let me see here. Once again, this is a replay. So actually, here we go. We found it. We found it. We'll take a look here. This will be from the onboard camera earlier on. This is about lap 18 from the number 09. And we'll see exactly what happens here for Randy Roberts earlier in the event. He gets tagged from behind as he was moving down the track by Matthew Miller. Ends up trying to save the truck, but ends up in the grass, loses traction, and collects championship contender Jeremy Rittenberg. So now we'll get a look at what happens to Jeremy here, as he was just trying to miss the wreck, and unfortunately when the 09 came back up the track there, Jeremy didn't have anywhere to go, and then the 57 of Jeff Gilmore also didn't have anywhere to go, and ended up piling in. Nothing anyone really did wrong there, but unfortunately was pretty much the end of Jeremy Rittenberg's title hopes for tonight. So for Cliff Cargill, that was the caution earlier on, again around lap 18 of 126. And as we go back to live racing, we're on lap 43 of 126, and currently Scott Simley is still out front, although Blake O'Connell has made a pass for the lead, as Chris Jennings has fallen to third place. And so now we'll look back from the number 67 on the battle with the number 88 and 999 of Aiden Young. Aiden Young and Bradley Wilson kind of just sitting back, waiting for guys to come to them. Mike Montesi has fallen a little bit back of them, but not by much. And actually, Bradley Wilson has fallen into the clutches of Mike Montesi now. We'll take a look at this battle going on a little further back. This would be for 5th position. Bradley Wilson started 8th, Mike Montesi started 2nd, so definitely two kind of different scenarios here as far as where they qualified and now what they're battling for. But Mike Montesi in that Exide Chevrolet trying to pass the number 66 Volcan Hancock's VA Graphics Chevrolet of Bradley Wilson. And no problem, Cliff, glad you are out there watching and wanted to see that wreck. If there's anyone else with any kind of questions, I will do my best to get to that. And yeah, for sure, this is a nervous race for a lot of these guys out here in the field. Now that you can see how easily a contender can be taken out, it's definitely got to be concerning for guys like Mike Perry in the number 10 and Kurt Rittenberg in the number 00. So as we watch Mike Perry go around here in currently 11th position. Again, I just want to reiterate that Mike Perry and Kurt Rittenberg, Jeremy Rittenberg are kind of the more consistent of the bunch that made the chase here in the All-Star Sim Racing Manifold Truck Series. So it's no surprise that right now they're running a little bit further back than the lead. And actually, we've got drivers hitting pit road. I just noticed that's going to be, for example, title contender Chris Jennings in the number 88 Exalta Chevrolet. We'll actually watch for the leader to come around here. There's Scott Simley crossing the line and going to turn 1, so Chris Jennings will lose a lap here as he makes a pit stop for service to his truck. David Dolliver as well, along with Mike Montesi and Mike Kelly. We'll watch Chris Jennings as he gets back up to speed, and we'll watch for other title contenders. Currently, neither one of the other two have come in. We will watch to see when Mike Perry and Kurt Rittenberg make their stops. So, Craig Patterson Jr. Asking where the final 4 are running. Currently, Chris Jennings has actually fallen back into, it looks like, 19th position. But that is simply because of pit stops, and Kurt Rittenberg as well, coming down the pit lane to get service to his truck. These guys were running about about third, I think, is where Chris Jennings was running prior to the pit stops starting. And I believe Mike Perry was running about 9th, maybe 10th, and Kurt Rittenberg was running about 12th. And Jeremy Rittenberg has already been taken out of the show pretty much. He's currently still running, but quite injured, and he is running, I believe, about 21st on the night. So that answers Craig Patterson Jr.'s question. Now to Chaz Chaffin. Do the racers use their own setup, or is everyone the same? This race is fixed setup. That means that everyone has the same setup under the truck to work with, be it Toyota or Chevy. But they are able to change the steering box, brake bias, and steering offset. So there are still a few things that you can change in the mechanics of the car to give yourself an advantage over the rest of the field. And of course, there's always the driver's right foot that makes them go faster or slower. So we'll get back into the thick of things here. Chris Jennings currently running in the 11th position, working his way through the field. Mike Perry still has not come down the pit lane, but Scott Simley, our leader, is in. And Mike Perry is now down the pit lane in the number 10 Chevrolet. I'm not sure what sponsor is on there tonight, but he is in the pit lane, so he's actually right above that neon yellow sign with the 66 on it. That is where Mike Perry is. The right side jack just dropped, and the left side's up. We'll be waiting for him to drop the left side of the truck and go, and he is off and away. And so Mike Perry will be rejoining the field in just a moment. And pulling for Jennings in the 88 to win. Yeah, I wouldn't say that's a bad pick at all. Chris Jennings definitely has been the favorite throughout most of the chase, if not all of it, and probably most of the season as well. He's just put a beating on these guys week in, week out, and he actually also races, I believe, in the Raven Graphics Contender Series, which is broadcast by LSR TV, I think. It's either LSR TV or RaceSpot TV. Either way, he is one of the faster guys out here. And currently, Aiden Young has assumed the lead by virtue of staying out, as Chris Jennings is actually fourth as the first driver that has pitted as these positions cycle back through. I think Aiden Young kind of waiting on a caution here so far in that September 11th Memorial number 999 Chevrolet. And again, this is a very cool paint scheme. We'll leave it up on the screen for just a moment. And again, I'm hoping that we get another commentator up in the booth here before too long. Most of the race is already over, as Chris Jennings is going to pass Aiden Young to get his lap back. We'll actually now go to the number 88 of Chris Jennings. I was hoping Zach Lindgren would get up here in the booth, but I don't think he's home just yet. I know something came up in his real-world life, so he may not be in the booth tonight, but if not, we'll certainly keep him in mind, as well as Terry Mason. Those guys do a great job over here every time they help me commentate, so definitely nice when they join me up in the booth. Currently, only 2 trucks are on the lead lap, as Joe Hudson has fallen a lap down. I'm not sure if he's pitted yet or not. Looks like, actually, he just pitted. And so Chris Jennings will be coming around to pass him in just a moment. But currently, it's just Matthew Cox and Aiden Young that are remaining on the lead lap that have not pitted. And I stand corrected. Chris Jennings and Scott Simley are both on the lead lap now, since they have gotten by Aiden Young. Are there any stages from Otis T. Rush? There are not in this race. I'm not sure if they're going to bring them about in this series next year. As far as I'm concerned, hopefully they do. I really do like the stage racing in the NASCAR Cup Series, so it would be nice to see these guys introduce stage racing in the Manifold Truck Series, even the Piston Cup Series, which is the series that unfortunately I cannot broadcast. I'm already reserved on that day, and actually we'll have a Tuesday event this week from Phoenix International Raceway. That'll be the NMNTS Grand National Series race, as they will have their own championship battle underway. But for now, back to this race, currently coming to lap 60 of 126. Aiden Young has not pitted just yet, as I wouldn't be surprised to see him come in a lap or so. I'm actually very surprised he's gone as far as he has, but currently about to get passed by more lap trucks that have pitted and are much faster than him. I'm not sure why Aiden Young is still running out there, because he's just running, looks like a couple of seconds slower than most of the field. So I'm not really sure. And actually, he's going to come in now, so I stand corrected there as well. And so Aiden Young will get that truck woed down for the pits here, as Matthew Cox will follow suit and bring his number 04 Chevrolet to the pit lane. That'll leave the lead to Chris Jennings here in just a moment as he works to put Mike Payton a lap down. Mike Payton actually would be going 2 laps down with that pass right there by Chris Jennings in the Exalta Chevrolet. So Chris Jennings will cycle out to be your race leader over Scott Simley in the number 68 and Blake O'Connell in the number 67. Mike Kelly will cycle out into the 4th position, followed by Mike Montesi in 5th. Then Bradley P. Wilson will take over 6th position, followed by David Dolliver and Jimmy North. Now that's assuming that both Aiden Young and Matthew Cox fall that far back. Aiden Young could possibly hold his position over a couple of those guys. We'll have to wait and see just what happens here as we're watching Aiden Young come back onto the track. So it looks like Aiden Young is merged right in front of Kurt Rittenberg, and that's what I was afraid of. Aiden Young falling so far back that now he's taking himself out of the long-run contention for this race. Tyler Brooks, good point, maybe trying to turn it into a fuel mileage race, but considering how much time he gave up, I don't think that's really helping his cause to stay out there that long. So we'll have to see what Aiden Young does in the long haul, but he is quite a ways behind the leader. Chris Jennings is actually 22 seconds back, but is closing fast now since he has tires. But I still think 20 seconds is a tall order, even for Aiden Young. So we'll have to see just what happens here as that delta stabilizes. That also may go down. The delta from Aiden Young up to leader Chris Jennings. He just ran the fastest lap on the track with a 31.309. And I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised if Aiden Young can pull something off here. He's kind of crafty in that way. Even when it doesn't look like he's going to have a chance, sometimes he gets up in it anyways. But as we go back to the lead, going to be Chris Jennings over Scott Simley. Scott Simley is closing and quick on that number 88 Exalta Chevrolet. That next truck behind Chris is actually going to be Scott Simley in the 2nd position, followed immediately by Blake O'Connell. So these top 3 have not separated much at all, and they're still battling for the lead. We'll actually go to Blake O'Connell's onboard camera and watch this from the front of his truck with TN Designs on board. And as you see on the ticker now, it's switched over to 62 to go rather than lap so-and-so out of so-and-so. So we're currently on lap 65 as the ticker switches over to 62 laps to go. Blake O'Connell got a good run down the back straightaway there on Scott Simley. Not going to make the move just yet, though. You really got to set up one of these moves in these trucks. They're all momentum-based, and you have to be really careful with what you're going to do. You have to take a couple of laps to plan what you're going to do, especially at a track like Homestead, Miami. Although Scott Simley going for the pass on the number 88 of Chris Jennings. That's going to be for the lead, and I mean, it's not going to knock Chris Jennings out of any kind of title position, but it's going to knock him out of the lead nonetheless. And so Scott Simley now challenging Chris Jennings on the bottom for that race lead with just 60 laps to go. And Otis Rush asked out in the chat, are they able to adjust tire pressures and wedges? They are not, unfortunately, but we've got one heck of a battle going on for this top 3. I think this is why fixed racing is so popular on iRacing. Blake O'Connell going to shove it off underneath. Chris Jennings on the bottom side. Hope to slide job him. I don't think he's going to clear him to be able to make that work. Unlike Christopher Bell at Kansas in the NASCAR Xfinity Series race, he didn't quite clear him and move up, but Blake O'Connell certainly has an advantage over Chris Jennings down into turn 1, and I think he's going to try that same move again. And I think he's going to try and slide job him this time. He's going to have him cleared by a mile that time, and he's going to move up in front of Chris Jennings and take that position away. as Blake O'Connell will now assume second position over Chris Jennings, but has a bit of ground to make up on leader Scott Simley. Will actually look back from the rear window of the number 68 at the number 67. And Tyler Brooks out there with the comment, this is better racing than real NASCAR races, and I wouldn't disagree. This is certainly exciting racing here, and I'm sure everyone in the league appreciates that comment. As Scott Simley continues now to lead this Homestead Miami finale here for the All-Star Sim Race Manifold Truck Series. 35 races, well really 36 races with the addition of this event, all boiling down to this. Scott Simley, Blake O'Connell battling for the final win of the season. We still have 57 laps to go, but as laps wind down, it's going to be harder and harder to make up any ground you may have lost, as Blake O'Connell seems to have the fastest truck, at least out of the top three, if not the field. Actually, Aiden Young, with his new tires, is the fastest of the field, but certainly out of the top 5, even the top 10, Blake O'Connell seems to be the fastest. He was the only sub 32 second lap time that time around, but this time it looks like he may have slowed down just a little bit. But still, Blake O'Connell for sure running a very fast race right now. And yeah, Craig Patterson Jr. out there in the comments saying the top 3 really putting on a great show. I can't disagree with that either, although Chris Jennings has burned his tires off. And see him fading in the distance behind these two leaders. And that's one thing you got to be careful of is, once you burn up your tires, you're going to fall back very easily and you won't be able to run as fast. Because tire wear is still very much relevant, even though it is a simulator. So that's something for these guys to have to keep in mind as the race wages on. Currently, it looks like the next truck for these guys to lap is going to be the number 43 of Richard Fletcher. We'll take a look at his truck for tonight. It's the U.S. Air Force number 43. Very nice paint scheme there. Now up ahead of Richard Fletcher is going to be Matthew Cox in the number 04. Haven't really talked about him a whole lot aside from him staying out with Aiden Young for such a long time on that last run, not rung, in that very much yellow Eat Me Chevrolet Silverado with those chrome rims, like the chrome rims on there. We'll take a look through the field from the back to the front. Actually, we'll take a look now at Doug McCullum's Jekyll and Hyde Mountain Dew number 33. One of the simpler but very nice paint schemes out in the field, that number 33 Jekyll and Hyde Mountain Dew Chevrolet. Up ahead of him, going to be Ed Burrell in the number 17. We talked about him and his surgery recovery being an ongoing battle for him a little bit earlier in the night. Very nice to see him, like I said, coming out here and just showing that a surgery can't hold him down, showing that he's going to do what he has to do to get through it, and making one more start here on the season with the All-Star Sim Racing guys in that Unity Brewing number 17. Now just ahead of Ed is going to be title contender Kurt Rittenberg in the number 00 R2D2 Motorsports Chevrolet. He's not really having a very stellar night, running 13th on the night, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get a late caution to see him get back into the mix and challenge maybe for a top 5, if not a race win. It's kind of what the Rittenbergs do. They sit back and wait and then pounce late in the running. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him make gains and get back into the battle, but currently would be 3rd in the championship standings if the race were to end now. But we still have 50 laps to go, so we'll have to wait and see what happens. But moving on up ahead of him is going to be Adam Roberts. He has some damage to the front end, but I think he'll be able to continue on just fine in that number 24 unsponsored Toyota Tundra. It's actually a pretty nice simple paint scheme on that number 24. Up ahead of him in 11th position, actually working on 10th, is going to be Aiden Young in the number 999, trying to get by Joe Hudson in the number 12, and I think he's going to do it pretty easily. Aiden Young running the September 11th Memorial Chevrolet Silverado. Very nice paint scheme as I've mentioned. It's essentially just an American flag with sponsor logos and a number. So, again, very nice paint scheme. And that was done by TN Designs again. TN Designs doing $5 paint schemes and iRacing graphics. He wasn't able to get by Joe Hudson just yet, but this ongoing battle, I'm sure will wage on for laps and laps until Aiden Young can finally complete that pass. But just ahead of these guys, one of the other important guys to keep an eye on is going to be Mike Perry in the number 10 Pump Works Chevrolet. Not having the greatest of nights, but he is still running in the top 10. He's running 9th, which is certainly nothing to be ashamed of. So good on him currently to just keep himself in a position to maybe strike later on in the running here for that championship. Again, there's 4 guys that came into tonight with a chance to win the championship, just like in NASCAR. Those 4 are going to be Chris Jennings in the number 88, currently running 3rd. Mike Perry in the number 10, as we see here, running 9th. Kurt Rittenberg in the number 00, running 13th. And unfortunately, Jeremy Rittenberg has fallen well out of the top 20. I believe 21st on the night so far. Looks like actually 22nd, 17 laps down. So after a very early event took him out of the running, he has just fallen further and further back. Now up ahead of Mike Perry, we're going to have Bradley Wilson in the number 66 Oil Can Hancock's BA Graphics Chevrolet. Looks like he may have tagged the wall a little while ago. You can see some right front damage on his truck. Not much, but just enough to signify that he got up in the fence just a little while ago, and he's trying to run down the number 78 of Matthew Miller. Matthew Miller not in this battle currently for position. He's actually running, I believe, about 23rd, I want to say. Actually, I think we just saw Bradley Wilson get in the fence again. He's very slow down the back straightaway. He definitely got in the wall, and he's going to be slowing down here, letting these guys by. And I believe, yep, he's going to be bringing that number 66 Chevrolet down the pit lane. I think we might be getting ready to see pit stops one more time. Now, these guys have run about 35, almost 40 laps on these set of tires. So Bradley Wilson could be just coming in since he got in the wall to make that short pit and try and get a leg up on the field. And Luis Gomez, thanks for checking us out, and the league. Definitely want to take a moment to thank everyone new, maybe, that is tuning in tonight. Definitely get a lot of new guys week in, week out. I like to create new fans every time we have one of these broadcasts. So thanks for checking out. If you haven't already, leave the page a like and give the page a rating for sure. Definitely helps to let us know that we're doing what you guys want to see. And actually, it looks like Bradley Wilson has parked the number 66 for the night. Just going to call it a night and not risk doing any more damage to his truck or the rest of the field. So we go back into third position here with Chris Jennings. Right now, I mean, he's fallen almost 5 seconds behind the leaders. But he was up there in the lead for quite a while. He is the leading championship contender in third position over the number 10 of Mike Perry. And all chase long, he's been one of the fastest guys, and that's not letting up tonight either. But we'll go back up to the battle for the lead. It's not really a battle anymore. Scott Simley has been able to pull away from the number 67 of Blake O'Connell, who did start on pole position. Scott Simley did start fourth tonight. And Kurt Rittenberg, championship contender, is in the pit lane, making his final pit stop of the night, I would assume. And so Kurt Rittenberg will get his 4 tires, full tank of Sunoco fuel, and pull out of the pit lane. I believe he's going to remerge into the field in about 15th, maybe 14th position, trying to get a leg up on the rest of the field. He's actually going to be running faster than most, if not all, of the field out here for a little while, now that he has the newest tires on the track. So expect to see that number 00 pick up some positions here as the race goes on. And more guys are starting to make their pit stops. It looks like the number 10 actually was just blinking there. He's not pitting just yet, but he is doing battle with the number 78 of Matthew Miller. That's not for position, but we'll see if he lets him by. Not quite yet. And as we watch these guys, Blake O'Connell has made his way down the pit lane to get 4 fresh Goodyear tires and a full tank of Sunoco race fuel. He will pull into the last pit box down pit lane as he was our pole sitter earlier on tonight. I'll wait to see where he re-merges into the field. Currently though, Scott Simley is still our leader, but he's now coming into the pits. He'll give up that lead position. And shouldn't the 78 give way to the 10? Ideally, at least with a 10, maybe, but I don't believe there's a rule necessarily against it. It's mostly just kind of a driver courtesy thing. So Matthew Miller, he has his race going too, and I believe there was another lap car that he may have been racing against in the number 43, Richard Fletcher. I'm not totally sure, but either way, that's for the drivers to sort out. And really, I'd say it's a driver courtesy thing. If I'm personally not getting let by a lap truck, maybe I won't let that truck by in the future. So, I'm sure it'll just be one of those kinds of things. And actually, we saw Chris Jennings also down the pit lane with Scott Simley, our leader, as Aiden Young will take over the lead position. If caution was to come out now, I guarantee you Aiden Young would be looking quite pretty on top of the field. Mike Perry, currently running in second position, has not pitted just yet, but I think he's coming in this time as he keyed up the mic, and he is. Matthew Miller will be following him in, so it looks like Mike Perry did make the pass on Matthew Miller, just took him a little bit. And Jim Rittenberg out in the comments says that was a bit close for Mike Perry, making sure he got down to pit speed. But definitely want to thank Jeremy Rittenberg in the comments. His night didn't go too well, but he's helping viewers out, saying that I'm correct. There is no real rule about giving way. It's all about a courtesy thing. Maybe I let you buy now, you let me buy later, or I don't let you buy now and you don't let me buy later. So it's up to the drivers. As we see Mike Perry tear out of his pit stall in the number 10 Chevrolet Silverado. We'll go back up to the lead. Going to be Aiden Young in the September 11th Memorial Chevrolet Silverado. He's going to be coming around, looks like, to try and put old Doug McCullum another lap down, but Doug McCullum will be able to pull away with those fresh tires. With Cargill, there is a blue flag on road racing. I don't believe there's one for oval racing. There may be. I've actually never paid much attention to it. I don't think there is one for oval racing. But if it was a NASCAR race, you would, of course, see that blue flag. But even then, it kind of comes down to driver courtesy most of the time. You don't always see that blue flag displayed. So, as the race goes on, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We've got 34 laps to go, and this is PSI TV. And welcome back from that quick commercial break about iRacing's Global World Rallycross. That's rather redundant. Global Rallycross edition coming this year, likely in December. But more importantly, I have one of the drivers from the field, at least a little while ago, until about lap 18, Jeremy Rittenberg. You were one of our title contenders on the night, and tell me about why you're not still out there trying to win yourself a championship.
It was just a racing deal. Got caught up in a wreck, and I was trying to play a little caution, hoping another caution was coming out after I got my truck fixed, and it just never worked out. So thought I'd come out and hang with you for a while.
Well, I'll tell you what, I definitely appreciate the help. You know, as I mentioned a little while earlier, the November weather is certainly starting to get to all of us, and I'll tell you what, sitting here commentating this thing on my own is certainly getting to me. I think I'm going to need a full night of sleep after this one. Even if it doesn't sound like a whole lot, definitely takes a toll on you. Sitting here for a couple of hours commentating a race, constantly talking, it definitely hurts my throat for a little while afterwards. But currently, with 29 laps to go, Chris Jennings, our leading title contender for most of the night, is currently still leading that title race in the third position, about 2 seconds behind leader Scott Simley and second place Blake O'Connell. So, you know, you've been driving with these guys all season, obviously, Jeremy, and what can you tell us about what to expect from these guys up in the front and the rest of the title battle for the rest of the night?
Well, I've got a pretty good focus on Blake and Scott up here up front. Most of this race they've been pretty tight. I'm just proud of everyone. We had that kind of early caution there, and as of now, it's been all green flag racing. I love this. But the 68 and 67 have been pretty tight the whole race. I wouldn't quite count out Chris yet either.
Yeah, I think if we get a caution for sure, you got to consider the number 88 of Chris Jennings. But if we go green, I wouldn't be surprised if these guys continue to pull away to pretty much a 5-second gap like they had just a little while ago before pit stops restarted here for these guys. And they were about 5 seconds ahead of that number 88 in third place. So it seems like Chris Jennings is definitely the guy to beat on the short runs, but maybe falls off in the longer run. I didn't get a whole lot of practice out there with you guys tonight, but maybe you know a little bit more about just how much the tires fall off here.
It wasn't too bad, depending on how you especially enter the corners. Turns 3 and 4 was definitely tearing up the right front. So I think if you let off a little early, it would kind of save your tires, but you lose so much time trying to do that. So you can kind of do it one way or the other and see which way works. Hopefully you can get out far enough you can let off later.
Yeah, for sure. One thing that iRacers and real racers always talk about is backing up the corners, and basically you're able to let off earlier, roll your momentum farther into the center of the corner, and you're not cutting your momentum when you get when you get to the brakes and then get back to the gas later on in the corner. So overall, you're carrying more momentum over a longer period of time. Basically just saves tires in the long run, but I'm not sure Chris Jennings is maybe doing that. As we see, he continues to fall further back, and he pitted about the same time as Scott Simley, so I'm not sure if he was just running way harder than Scott, or if it's just the nature of the way Chris runs this place. But he continues to fall further and further back, now about 2.25 seconds behind these guys battling for the lead. And this has been kind of an ongoing battle since I believe about lap 50 between the 68 and the 67 for position. Maybe even well before then, but at least for the lead for about the last 50 laps or so. These guys have been going at it, and actually it got tight a little bit there at a turn 2 with Mike Payton up on the top side. So really, I guess, I'm trying to utilize you in as many ways as possible, considering you've driven with these guys week in, week out since February, and you were just out there earlier on in the night. Who would you pick if Chris Jennings wasn't here tonight? Who would you have picked between your brother Kurt and Mike Perry to win this thing?
With the way everybody's been running, I mean, there was really no one that I could have pinpointed on. Um, we all have different lines. Kurt, for example, loves the high line. Chris has been fast all year. In fact, we were just talking earlier today about Mike Perry. It was like he was our sleeper, that there was no Mike Perry, and all of a sudden we start getting to the end of the season, and here he is, and now all of a sudden he's in contention for a championship. So I just can't say enough as how awesome this league has turned out.
Yeah, I certainly love coming back every Thursday night commentating for you guys week in, week out. It's always a fun show, and like I said earlier on in the night, I'd say one of the most respectful leagues that I've ever found on iRacing or any kind of sim racing online. I mean, you don't really hear about the drama that you hear about in other leagues or other racing series, even in real life over in All-Star Sim Racing. So hats off to you and everyone else that makes this thing happen week in, week out. I know that's why at least Bradley Wilson comes back every week. He's told me on his own accord that he just really likes the racing over here. He likes that you guys kind of govern yourselves and do a great job at it.
That's what we try to do. Try to keep it fun. Still competitive. It's there's a lot of give and take here that I think really separates it from other leagues. That you understand if someone's faster than you. About the giveaway thing we've seen in the comments, or giveaway deal. We want people to kind of be respectful, but you got to come out and race as well, and that's what makes it competitive out here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I definitely agree with the thought of kind of leaving it to the drivers. Let them decide if they want to let somebody by, and then maybe later on they don't get let by that same driver. So I like keeping it in the driver's hands. It keeps it more genuine and more interesting as we currently continue to watch these guys battle for the lead. We were watching Mike Perry for just a little while you were talking there, Jeremy, and right now I have to agree with your comment on him being kind of a sleeper. Mike Perry, even when we started broadcasting this series, wasn't necessarily one of the top contenders, but he was certainly showing why he made the chase. And as the chase went on, he got faster and faster. Now he's currently running in 6th position with the potential to get up into that top 5 and maybe challenge Chris Jennings if we get a late caution here.
Yeah, absolutely. I just swung over, was watching Mike Kelly race with a 3-way battle here, and these tires are wearing out. Going back up to the front and watching these two up front, both of them have been using different driving lines, and it's only a matter of time before these tires start really giving away, and that wall gets a lot closer as they give away.
Yeah, and we see these guys coming up to lap the number 43 of Richard Fletcher. I think he's trying to let them by, but couldn't find the right line to do it right away there, so he will give way to the leaders of Scott Simley and Blake O'Connell. That may have hurt the 67 a bit, actually, as he still is trying to get around the number 43 of Richard Fletcher, but he will manage to do it. Didn't lose much, if anything at all, and he'll continue on in his pursuit of Scott Simley. And, definitely with what you were saying there, these guys have been trying all kinds of different lines as we've been watching them for the last 20 or so laps. They've been up on the top, down on the bottom like Blake O'Connell currently is, and really just trying to find any kind of grip they can.
Yeah, that's the key to this. You start finding grip. It could work out for you, but then you're going to have a lot more tire wear, especially the way this race has been going on. This long green flag run. Hopefully you calculated your pit strategy correct, or you're going to be hurting here in the next few laps.
Yeah, for sure. And the Cody West out in the comments, if you didn't see, I did comment there back to your question, but asking, oh no, what happened to Bradley Wilson? He ended up tagging the wall out of turn 2 and decided, I would assume that maybe it was better to not tear up the truck anymore and put it back on the hauler for the night. Hasn't been running for points over here, but has certainly appreciated the great racing that the All-Star Sim Racing Manifold Truck Series has put on. And I think just decided after kind of struggling for a good portion of the night, maybe not as much as Jeremy did, but after struggling for a good portion of the night, to park the number 66. But up on the front, we keep mentioning Scott Simley and Blake O'Connell. They continue to battle on, and Blake O'Connell, I mentioned it at the top of the show, he's been one of the faster guys on these mile-and-a-half tracks like Homestead, Miami Speedway, Texas Motor Speedway, Charlotte, Chicago, all these different tracks, but hasn't been able to close one out just yet. Has had some pretty bad luck, and it looks like maybe that's turning around for him here, Jeremy.
Yeah, to see these two up front right now, the way they're battling, and as you go back, if you go back to Aiden Young in 5th, and you got Mike Perry in 6th, Mike it looks like he's really kind of on the move. I'm not sure if he pitted later or what, but it looks like he's coming up for the top 5.
So Mike Perry has actually run less laps than everyone ahead of him, aside from Aiden Young, on this set of tires, and he's running faster than everyone ahead of him, aside from Scott Simley that time. Scott Simley with a 32.272, Mike Perry with a 32.292, and the next quickest after that would go to Mike Kelly in the number 2 with a 32.305. Everyone else was at least almost a tenth behind Mike Perry, so Mike Perry is certainly gaining on the rest of the guys ahead of him, but I don't know if he's going to have enough time to do it. Looks like we're going to have 9 laps to go this time by, and those laps are going to wind down quicker and quicker, or so it'll seem.
Looks like we might have a nice little race for 3rd place here with Mike Kelly and Chris Jennings here. It's starting to get pretty close.
Yeah, but I tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised if, based on how far back and how quickly the number 88 has fallen back, I wouldn't be surprised if Mike Kelly gets around Chris with relative ease. Certainly nothing with these guys is easy as far as making passes and making moves in the field, but I think relatively easily Mike Kelly should be able to make that pass for 3rd position with just 8, almost now 7 laps to go. Richard Fletcher kind of playing a bit of an effect here, but certainly not intentionally, just trying to find the best way to let these guys by. Richard Fletcher, one of the good guys out here, is Mike Kelly and Chris Jennings will follow through on the bottom. We see Adam Roberts also in the mix. And actually, has Adam Roberts made any starts before?
I think we've had 1 or 2 before. Hopefully, we're starting to get a little more regular now that winter is here. Things will start slowing down. People won't want to be outside, and what better thing to do than come here and start racing a little bit.
For sure. Well, as we go back to the points battle, I just looked back up to my standing sheet, and it looks like Mike Perry's starting to fall back off. He's still running faster than Chris Jennings, but he's running slower now than Aiden Young, and I mean, there's looks like 5 seconds in between, although, as I say that, Mike Perry runs the fastest lap on the track with a 32.375. I don't think without a caution, and even then, it's not really going to help him at all, because it just may end the race at this point. But he's trying, for sure. He's trying to get there to Chris Jennings, but he's still got, it looks like, 5, almost 6 seconds to go to get to that number 88. I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think with the tire wear we can see him move up to challenge him for that championship, but I'll tell you what, he's making one valiant effort at the end here.
Yeah, he's definitely showing why he made it this far in the chase, but I don't think he's going to be able to close the deal unless something happens to that number 88. Crazier things have happened, in all fairness. We have seen all kinds of crazy things happen to championship contenders in past NASCAR seasons, and I wouldn't rule it out for this race either. Anything could still happen. We still have 4 by 1.5 is going to be 6 miles to go, I want to say, so we're still going to have 4 miles to go even when they come back around to take the next lap. anything can happen in those 4.5 miles. There's still all kinds of cars on the track. I think we still have almost 20 trucks on the track. A lot of them a lot slower than some of these guys up in the front. Any number of things can happen. Mike Perry continuing his charge on the number 88 of Chris Jennings, trying to close that gap. If something, God forbid, was to happen to Chris Jennings, I wouldn't rule the number 10 out. And we'll be coming, actually, we just took two to go, with Scott Simley still in the lead by 2 seconds over Blake O'Connell. Looks like that battle is pretty much sorted out. Looks like Scott Simley, as long as he does what he needs to do for the next about 2 miles here, will be able to close this race out. Jeremy Rittenberg will be right back, so I'll be calling the end of this race on my own. Scott Simley going to be coming around to take the white flag, this time buying this Red Bull number 68 Chevrolet Silverado. We got to keep a look at the championship battle in case something happens to Chris Jennings. Mike Perry has certainly been making a valiant effort to try and catch him. Mike Perry in the number 10 Chevrolet Silverado trying to do anything he can to run faster than his counterpart in the number 88 to try and catch him. He's not going to catch him outright, but if something happens to Chris Jennings in the next mile, you never know. He could be there. But it looks like it's going to be smooth sailing for Chris Jennings to the championship. Scott Simley will cross the checkered flag, or will cross the stripe rather, take the checkered flag, and win the Homestead 126. So congratulations to him first off. But we got to watch the championship battle. It's going to be Chris Jennings taking home the championship and 4th place on the night. Congratulations rather, to Chris Jennings and the Exalta Chevrolet on a great season. Wraps it up in 4th place. So certainly still a great run from him, and ultimately takes home the biggest prize of the All-Star Sim Racing Manifold Truck Series with the championship. Want to thank all 43 viewers out here tonight for tuning in. Thank you, Luis Gomez. Sorry. Wow. Thank you, Luis Gomez, for that kind comment there. Definitely hope to see you back in the future. It's nice to have every single one of you viewing every time we have one of these streams. And as I mentioned earlier on Sunday night, we will have another, this time from South Boston with the NMNTS ARCA series. But for now, all the focus goes to Chris Jennings. We'll watch him burn it down as he has won the championship over Mike Carey, and the rest of the All-Star Sim Racing Manifold Truck Series field. The other two guys who did make it to the Final Four would be Curtin Rittenberg, who will close the night in 12th place, and Jeremy Rittenberg, who actually had an early exit from tonight's event and joined us up in the booth. So once more, congratulations to Chris Jennings. We're going to watch him burn that number 88 down, and we're going to try and see if we can't line up several interviews here. Larry Dickerson, real quick before we start pulling these guys up for interviews, that Sobo race will be... We're having a bit of a problem here with OBS. Looks like it's disconnected. Hopefully that comes right back on. Alright, we are reconnected. Sorry for that. There was a bit of a hiccup there. But we are back. Hopefully everyone stayed tuned. So to Larry Dickerson, that South Boston race will be Sunday night at about 9 p.m. Eastern. And we're going to start bringing these guys in for interviews, beginning with, it looks like, Kurt Rittenberg. Kurt Rittenberg, this is Andrew up in the booth. Do you have a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, it wasn't the night maybe that you wanted. You'd walk away relatively empty-handed, but you did end up closing your season out with a 12th place run. Again, maybe not you wanted, maybe not what you wanted, rather, maybe a little bit subpar for you, but certainly did show a little bit of strength there towards the end, along with Mike Perry, trying to recover from maybe any early race setbacks. We only had that one caution, only had that one chance to catch up to the rest of the field, so I want to congratulate you, first of all, on making it to third place in the overall standings, even if it was maybe a dismal night for you. You got to be proud of that, certainly, Kurt. So, do you have any closing statements for the season?
Congratulations, Chris, for the championship. Good job, Scott, for the win tonight. I mean, they were him and Blake both were battling out pretty good for first and second. But everybody at the ASSR team here putting everything on, making everything do happen. A couple of the guys couldn't make it, but I know they're still watching. Hopefully, everything went smooth. Especially you guys, PSI. Oliver and Company, Mobile Fleet Repair, putting this on every single Thursday. Brotherton Imaging. I mean, it was a real fun season. Too bad 12th place and 1 lap down. I gave her everything she had, but the tires didn't hold up how I wanted it to, so I did like a little short pit on the last stop. Hopefully I can catch some ground up, but I was had to save a little bit of fuel. I pitted a little too early and had to lay off just a smidgen on the last 5 laps there.
For sure, we saw you try and get that leg up on the field. I actually noted it that you brought your 00 in a little bit early to try and make some kind of ground on the rest of the field. But even with that 12th place round, like we both said, you gotta be proud of something. You made it to third place on the season, and you showed why you're a force to be reckoned with, even if you didn't close it out. I knew it was going to be hard, and I'm sure you knew it was going to be hard as well to beat that number 88. So, not necessarily a surprise there that he ended up closing the night out. But again, congratulations on your third place run. Is there anyone else that you want to thank for your pretty good season out there, finishing third?
Oh, every driver that came out that participated, even if it was one race or did all 36 races. Especially a good job for Chris. I mean, he is an excellent driver. Mike Kelly jumped on board a little bit too, and Scott for the last races. I mean, they're one of the top ones. Mike Perry, got that second place overall. I mean, fantastic drivers. I mean, everybody is phenomenal here, and I can't give thanks to everybody that showed up here and put on a good show.
For sure. Well, once more, congratulations on the third place run on the season overall. We'll let you debrief with your team, and we're going to get to talk to 5 more guys here before the night's over.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for doing everything.
For sure, and have a good night, man. And that was the wrong person. Sorry about that. And so that was, again, Kurt Rittenberg. He ends up closing the night in 12th position, but closes the season in 3rd overall in the standings. And with that said, we're going to bring up Mike Perry. Mike Perry, this is Andrew up in the booth. Do you have a copy?
Yeah, Andrew, go ahead.
Well, Mike, you certainly gave it your all there. I was watching the lap times, and Jeremy was up here for a little bit with me as well. We were watching the lap times, watching you do everything you could to make any time up you could in case something happened to the 88 of Chris Jennings to try and get your championship. But it wasn't meant to be, I suppose. Despite running really fast there at the end, one of the fastest on the track, you closed the night in 6th place, just outside of the top 5, and just a little bit too far behind for the championship. What do you have to say about that 126 lap run?
I'm real pleased, man. Tell you what, at the start of the race, I didn't think I had anything, even for the top 10. I was good 3/10 off of the leaders, and I'm real happy. Just happy to finish the race, and thanks to you guys for putting the show on.
All right, well, for sure. Once more, just want to congratulate you on your pretty valiant effort there. Like I said, you were running the fastest out of the whole field there for a while there, running the fastest times on the track and making up what you could on Chris Jennings. Didn't quite get there. You were a little far back, but got to be proud of something there, and you're going to end up 2nd place on the season, so definitely have to be proud of that, man. So once more, congratulations on that crazy run for you, finishing 2nd place on the season. Is there anyone else you want to give a nod to?
Just the ASSR, Kurt and Jeremy and Scott Brotherton, all these guys that put the put the show on and you guys telecasting it. It's been a fun year.
Definitely appreciate it, man, and we'll let you get back up there with your team and debrief. Once more, just want to congratulate you on your third place run here in the All-Star Sim Racing Manifold Truck Series.
All right, thanks, Andrew.
And again, that was Mike Perry. He was in the number 10 tonight. He's going to end up closing the night in 6th position. For a while there, he was the fastest truck on the track, so give a nod to him there. He's going to end up 2nd place in the overall standings. Doesn't get the championship, doesn't get the race win, but definitely has something to hold his head high about as we walk away from the season. And we're going to bring in 4th place finisher and now champion Chris Jennings. I guess you were in the middle of something there. Sorry, but Chris Jennings, this is Andrew up in the booth. Do you have a copy?
Yeah, I got you, Andrew.
Well, I'll tell you what. You're the champion here now. We're going to save the other guys for last one and get the championship contenders first. I mean, what can I say? Since we came on for Darlington, you've showed why you were the favorite to win this thing since August. And you closed it out tonight. Maybe not with the race win, but certainly with a dominant performance running up front all night from that first caution, really. Leading some laps, doing everything you had to do, and with a fourth place finish, rather, you're going to take home that championship. Just, I mean, how do you sum that all up?
Oh man, it's been an excellent season. It's been a lot of fun running with these guys, and competition just really stepped it up, especially towards the end here. So it made it tough, man. Even coming down to the wire tonight, I wasn't sure what was going to happen. So just came in with a strategy and stuck with it, and just knew I had to stay above the other 3 guys that were in the chase, and it worked.
For sure. Well, I want to ask you something real quick before we let you go and debrief with your team. I don't think we have any kind of crowning ceremony or anything for you tonight, but real quick, were you just running your tires off, or was it just that you were a little bit slower on the long run than the guys up ahead of you?
Yeah, I mean, I took 2 tires on 2 stops, and I knew I was going to lose a little bit of time, but like I said, I was just focused on the other 3 guys behind me, and I figured if I could get out a little bit sooner, I wasn't falling off as bad, so I took the chance, took 2 tires, got a little bit of jump on them, and it worked.
All right. Well, I actually didn't know that you took 2 tires, so that's a good piece of information. Well, before we let you go with your championship win in the bank, and I assume get a pretty good celebration underway in the Jennings household, is there anyone else that you want to thank for your race tonight and your season overall?
Yeah, I want to definitely thank you guys for coming aboard. It's been a lot of fun watching the races after, and you guys do a great job. And thanks to ASSR for all they do. It's like I said, it's been a spectacular season. A lot of fun running with these guys, and thanks to the whole league. I mean, there's so much respect with all these guys, and I can't wait till next season.
Yeah, I tell you what, I can't wait to see you defend your championship rather in the Manifold Truck Series in 2018. I believe we'll be coming back, so that'll be a lot of fun to see you get to defend that title. For now, though, I'll let you get the celebration underway. Once more, congratulations on all the wins that you got throughout the season, all the times we got to talk to you after winning a race, and now your championship. It's got to feel great, man, and wish the best of luck to you next season.
Thanks so much, you guys. Appreciate it.
And once more, that was now your champion of the All-Star Sim Racing Manifold Truck Series, Chris Jennings, in the number 88 Exalta Chevrolet Silverado. Now we're going to be moving up into the top 3. First, we're going to bring up Mike Kelly. Mike Kelly, do you have a copy?
Hey, I got you.
All right. Well, Mike, you put on a great run there. You weren't really maybe one of the headline makers of the night, but you certainly, did what you had to do all night long in your Tonka truck, and you ended up bringing it home third. What can you tell us about tonight?
Yeah, that was a pretty under the radar run from 16th. I run okay here. It's just not one of my favorite tracks. And I mean, in qualifying, that was all the speed I got. I knew I had a pretty good long run, and the pit strategy worked out pretty well. And I think I finished probably about as good as I could. Those two up front were pretty fast.
Yeah, they were definitely the fastest we've seen Scott Simley and Blake O'Connell in recent weeks, and I mean it was going to be hard for anyone to catch them, as we saw even championship winner, I guess, Chris Jennings couldn't even catch them. So certainly a great third place run for you. I believe you came across about 4 or 5 seconds behind them, but tell you what, for a 16th place start, making up all that ground with only the one caution, only that one chance to catch up to him, it's a great run from you. Is there anyone you want to thank out there tonight?
Yeah, definitely the team Turn 1 heroes. Congrats to Scott. Great run for him. We're always pretty even, and he blew my doors off tonight, and he's had a lot of bad luck lately, so I was glad to see him get out there and win it for Turn 1 heroes. And thanks to you guys, PSI, for putting these races on all year long. Enjoyable to watch after we get done. And in Sarah Kelly and Sewell, my associate sponsor there under Tonka. And thanks to these guys at ASSR for putting on this series. It's good competition, good fields, a lot of fun. I'll be back next year for sure.
All right, well, thank you for coming out and running great races and all those kind words there. We're going to let you debrief with your team, Turn 1 Heroes, I believe it was. So once more, congratulations on a third place run, and hopefully we get to see you more in the future.
All right, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
And real quick, just want to mention that was, of course, Mike Kelly, but this has been a bit of a long day for me, calling the past, I believe, about almost 2 hours of racing action. So my voice may be starting to fail, and I may start to make some more mistakes. Just cut me some slack a little bit. Normally have a couple of other guys up here with me. So without further ado there, we're going to bring in Blake O'Connell. Blake O'Connell, this is Andrew up in the booth. Do you have a copy?
Yes, sir. How's it going?
Pretty good for me, but I'd imagine it's going better for you. You've had some struggles in the last few weeks, as has been duly noted by me being your team owner. You've had some struggles, but I'd definitely say coming home second place tonight has to feel pretty good. Definitely good to close out in second place for the team, and after all those struggles of having good runs on mile and a half and then getting them taken away, that's got to feel great for sure. How'd you do it, man?
Yeah, I actually don't have much experience at this track, so I didn't have too many high hopes going into it. Just thought I'd run my own race, and ended up somehow managing pole. And from there, I just kind of, took it easy. Definitely been making a few mistakes the last few weeks, so I wanted to just ride it kind of easy and just try to be there at the end. And, well, it almost worked out. I just was running real close with Scott there for about, I think, 20, 30 laps, and I just couldn't get around him and burn my stuff up with about 10 laps to go. But overall, it was a definitely positive night compared to the last few weeks. So I just want to say congrats to Scott for the win, and Chris definitely for an awesome season, with so many wins, coming home champion. Definitely deserved.
For sure. Well, once more, I want to give you some bit of a tip of the hat on that second place run. And is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go for the night?
Yeah, first and foremost, the guys at ASSR, Kurt, Jeremy, and Scott for putting on an awesome season. I want to thank PSI TV, everything you do for making the broadcast happen. Thank the fans. It looks like we had a lot of people watching tonight. It's great to see that. Also, thank you to TN Designs, the sponsor, of course, and my teammates, Aiden, Matt, Jeff, and Cody. Cody didn't make it tonight, but it's been great running with these guys, and I'm definitely looking forward to next season.
For sure. Well, Blake, once more, congrats on the second place run. Definitely been nice having you out here and be able to close this one out. Even if not for the win, at least for second place, got to be a great positive turnaround. And I'll let you go for the night, debrief with your team, and hopefully we get to talk to you more in 2018.
Yep. Thanks, Andrew.
And again, that was Blake O'Connell, your second place finisher. And now, without further ado on the night, real quick, one more thanks to Chris Jennings, for doing everything he did, and one more congratulations to him as well for going out there, getting all those wins, getting that championship in the All-Star Sim Racing Manifold Truck Series. Just want to throw that out there since I do see him in the chat watching. And now we'll bring in race winner Scott Simley. Scott Simley, do you have a copy?
Yeah, you bet.
Well, Scott, I haven't really gotten to talk to you just yet up here in PSI TV. Haven't even talked much about you, but tell you what, in that Red Bull number 68 Chevrolet, you certainly put on a show tonight, dominating performance, battling with Blake O'Connell for really the last 70 or maybe even 80 laps there to try and get that win. And tell you what, you certainly did a hell of a job. And what can you tell us about what you did to beat that number 67?
Yeah, it was a fun race. I like having those green flag runs. After that first caution, I knew to take 4. I think Chris ended up taking 2, which probably really hurt him in the end. But just seemed like had a good long run truck. It's probably one of my more favorite tracks too. That helps. Just kind of take it easy. Yeah, Blake was right there. At first, I thought he might have been just kind of drafting off me and just taking it easy and was going to get me there that second run, and just thought I'd hold my line and run my line. It seemed like get about 26 laps into the run, it seemed like then I'd start slowly pulling away from him. He had me in 1 and 2, but then I'd pull away from it seemed like in 3 and 4. But yeah, it was a little bit tight, but it was just a lot of fun to race around these guys. Don't get to race all the races with them, but the ones my schedule allows, we make it work.
All right, well, before I let you go, hopefully I get to talk to you more in 2018, but is there anyone that you want to thank for your run and win here tonight?
Probably teammates, Turn 1 heroes. Just threw on the Red Bull scheme here as of late, just to try something different and shake it up. Gotta thank, I think it's Jordan Ashland painted up the Red Bull scheme. Hippie's Paint Shop, he also paints up a lot of trucks for me. Friends and family, again, if they're out there watching. You guys for broadcasting, appreciate it. Seems like a good core group of guys here, and hopefully we'll be able to do some more.
All right, well, thank you very much, man, for spending your time after this race win. We'll let you go for the night, and once more, congratulations on the win, man.
All right, thanks, Andrew.
And that was race winner Scott Simley in the number 68. You can see his replay of his burnout right here on the screen as we speak. And as we close up shop for the night and for the season with the All-Star Sim Racing boys, just want to thank All-Star Sim Racing once more and all of our sponsors, going to be Oliver and Company LLC Mobile Fleet Repair, Scott Brillerton Images TN Designs, where you can get $5 paint schemes and iRacing graphics starting at just $5. We do bundle packages once you get up to 4 items or more per order, as well as PSI TV. Right now we're doing a special deal through the end of 2017 where you can get a multi-race deal with us for just $5 a race. You can tell us, or you can ask Kurt Rittenberg and Jim Rittenberg about how that one worked out. I believe we made a pretty good deal here for the rest of the season here in the All-Star Sim Racing Manifold Truck Series on Thursday nights, and hopefully we're back here in 2018 as well, as I believe we will be. I won't confirm nothing just yet, but I believe we'll be back. And also want to give a shout out to SimSpec PC Towers. They build custom iRacing spec PCs, basically what their name says. And they have 3 different tiers of PC that you can buy. They are all fitted for different tiers of your budget. I believe they start at just $600, which is actually pretty good for an entry-level iRacing PC rather. Their logo was just on screen, so you can check them out at simspec.com, and you can check out this league, All-Star Sim Racing Manifold Truck Series, at allstar-simracing.com. I do believe their website will be scrolling along the bottom of the screen in just a moment. And this has been PSI TV all night long and all chase long with coverage of the All-Star Sim Racing Manifold Truck Series. Want to give everyone that watched tonight a big thank you, all the drivers a big thank you, and the guys who make this happen in the head of the All-Star Sim Racing League. And I tell you what, that's been a wrap, and that was a great way to end the season. And once more, hopefully we are back in 2018.